This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Appalled by what the Americans are doing. Completely unacceptable. Where does that leave Canada in the future?
Concerned, I'm not worried, but I'm a positive thinker. But I just think it's inevitable.
Tonight, how islanders feel about global tensions as Canada considers sending a small number of troops to Greenland.
It takes a group to take down a stellar sea lion like they did.
On the hunt, the power of orcas on full display as they pursue their prey and put on a spectacular show. Plus, Adam meets a woman who's turned walks with her dog into a creative collaboration. Later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A senior government source tells CTV News Ottawa is thinking about sending a small contingent of soldiers to participate in NATO training exercises in Greenland. CTV's Mike LeCouture on the balancing act as Donald Trump threatens additional tariffs on other EU countries over this.
The picturesque landscape of Greenland could soon host a handful of Canadian soldiers. The members of our military would participate in training exercises with a number of European allies.
They framed it as a long-planned military exercise.
Canada's former ambassador to NATO says these deployments were originally planned to deter Russian action, but it could have the same effect on President Trump.
Trump is taking it as a message, and perhaps, unspoken, the allies will think of that as a way of changing Trump's risk calculus.
Canada's troop commitment would likely be less than the dozen soldiers Germany is sending to Greenland. Still, there could be blowback for Canada as U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening tariffs on any ally that sends troops.
Just to show the Americans that, you can't push around a NATO ally and threaten to take over a country against their will.
Now, to minimize the political fallout, some suggest appealing to Trump in a different way.
Try to turn the tables a little bit and say, let's all be in this together when it comes to the defense of the Arctic in North America, rather than make it appear as if somehow we're marshaling a force to defend Greenland from the Americans.
NBC News is also reporting Trump is complaining to aides about Canada's vulnerability in the Arctic. That's despite Canada already committing $6 billion to an over-the-horizon radar system for the far north.
We have to do more in our Arctic, but we also have to be kind of calm. More important thing is to work with our Arctic allies to deter and to get ready for any threat.
But the source of that threat in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape depends on where you are in the world. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Here on Vancouver Island, people are concerned about where Trump's threats may lead. CTV's Anna McMillan with more on that and reaction from a former Canadian diplomat based in Victoria.
As U.S. President Donald Trump insists his country must own Greenland, Canadians here on Vancouver Island are concerned.
It's completely unacceptable. Where does that leave Canada in the future?
I kind of feel scared for Canada, actually.
I think Canada will be next because, from my perspective, the next global conflict will be in the Arctic.
Trump's threat to take over the Arctic island is prompting questions about the NATO alliance.
It's destructive to an alliance. It's destructive to confidence. It's destructive to relationships.
That former Canadian ambassador to Russia and the EU is now based in Victoria and says he's never seen anything like this.
The significance of the situation today enters the land of Looney Tunes, frankly. No one had foreseen that one NATO country would say, we're going to get part of another.
Over the weekend, Greenlanders protested and Canada's Prime Minister made his opinion clear.
The future of Greenland, decisions about the future of Greenland are for Greenland and Denmark.
I think Mark Carney's, been pretty candid about where we are. You're not trying to provoke the United States. But at the same time, you got to stand up for principles.
Trump has threatened tariffs on 8 countries until a deal to buy Greenland is reached.
It's scary because it makes me feel like Trump's power is just kind of unwielded.
It means that we have to be even less willing to partner with the United States and continue the kind of policies that our Prime Minister has been implementing.
The threat against Greenland felt thousands of kilometers away on Vancouver Island, where hopes for de-escalation are high. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
The Victoria Police Department is asking drivers to take extra caution after a string of collisions involving vehicles, pedestrians and cyclists. Vic PD's top officer says since January 1st, 17 collisions have taken place. 9 pedestrians have been struck, along with 7 cyclists and 1 person on a scooter. That's nearly 1 person a day so far this year. Many of those hit have significant injuries. Fortunately, no fatalities. The chief is asking drivers to slow down.
These are not just statistics. These are moms and dads, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. You know, these are people on their way to work. They're on their way to school. I think it's just important that we all are mindful of the fact that each one of these collisions involving a pedestrian, a cyclist, or someone on a scooter is one too many.
The chief says most of the collisions took place as drivers were making turns. And there is no intersection in the capital city worse than others. The Victoria Police Department has asked City Council for an additional 4 officers. Goodness, I'm losing my voice here. They've asked for additional officers in the 2026 budget, and that budget will be finalized in the first week of May. The Orca Behavior Institute is sharing some incredible video it captured showing just how brutal nature can be. It isn't for the faint of heart. It was a mother matriarch and 2 adult male sons from the Biggs transient killer whale population hunting a stellar sea lion just off the shores of Gordon Head. Those sea lions have sharp teeth and claws weighing up to 1,100 kilograms. The group worked in tandem, ramming the sea lion, creating a lot of action on the surface of the water, putting on quite a show for those lucky enough to witness the hunt.
At times we would see the whale very quickly move. We might see, the fins on the backside of that stellar come up, or there was definite contact while we were out there too. And as the hunt progressed, we started seeing that stellar sea lion at the surface less and less. So I think it got very tired, probably suffered some internal injuries, and then eventually succumbed to that predation event.
Transient orcas have to consume roughly 200 kilograms of food per day and have diversified their diets, feeding on seals, salmon, porpoises, as well as smaller whales. Experts say the Biggs population is holding up very well. On the other hand, our resident killer whale population continues to struggle due to its single declining food source, Chinook salmon. Thick fog is engulfing parts of Vancouver Island, prompting warnings of near-zero visibility. As CTV's Andy Garland reports, people in Port Alberni are handling the gray, misty days with optimism.
Neela Nixon comes down to the Harbour Quay in Port Alberni regularly to sit on her brother's memorial bench.
I just love being by the water, and it's happy here.
Even on days like today, when the entire inlet is sopped in with fog.
Right now, you see nothing, but it looks nice and it looks clear. It's not a dark fog.
Environment Canada has issued a fog advisory for all of inland Vancouver Island.
Specifically around Port Alberni is where it's been the worst, with that fog advisory, near zero visibility at times.
The cause of the dense fog is a ridge of high pressure that is trapping moisture near the surface.
In areas where it's just socked right in, there's just nothing to move that air, and it's just being trapped by that warmer air aloft.
Has its benefits. Keeps things cool and dry, or cool and wet.
Chris Alamany with alberniweather.ca says the blanket of fog is somewhat of a feature in the valley this time of year.
If we get any kind of inversion or, usually the cold kind of temperatures with just no movement of the air, we'll get fog and we get socked in.
Whether you're driving in it.
Had to slow down a bit because, you can only see yay far in front of the truck. But other than that, I'm used to it.
Or just getting used to it.
I'm from Saskatchewan, so this beats 30 below with a howling wind any day of the week.
The fog will typically lift in the afternoon and then rolls back in at dusk.
The sun's come trying to burn through.
The fog advisory is expected to last 24 hours. Andy Garland, CTV News, Port Alberni.
An island search and rescue group is reminding off-roaders to be prepared for winter conditions when heading into the backcountry. Over the weekend, the Alberni Valley Rescue Squad helped a stranded motorist in the Mount Arrowsmith area. 2 teams responded and used a rescue truck and an off-road utility vehicle to rescue the stranded driver. The crew says while the mountain doesn't have the seasonal snowpack it normally does, conditions can still be difficult to navigate. It's urging drivers to make sure you bring chains, shovels, extra layers, blankets, fire starter, and extra food when heading out. Still to come, inflation continues for some pantry staples, but it's not all bad news.
The news is relatively optimistic for food prices going forward.
Beyond your daily Java and sweet treats, some positive signs for food prices just ahead.
6 degrees at the harbor, 8 at the airport right now, and you can see a little bit of sunshine. In fact, much of the island, if you're not dealing with fog, is under fairly clear skies. Good news for the Aurora Borealis tonight. We'll talk about that after the break.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
What makes West Shore Parks and Recreation a perfect place to play? It's our staff, working behind the scenes to keep the pool safe, kids engaged, and programs thriving. So apply today and join our team.
Well, Josh, there was a brief mention you made before the break about the chance of seeing Aurora tonight.
Yeah, this could be, it's a fairly strong magnetic storm. And so this could even be visible over top of city lights. So look skyward tonight because skies are pretty clear in most areas, at least where you're not dealing with some thick fog. We'll talk more about that fog advisory in a second. Temperature-wise, we said it was 6 at the harbor, 8 downtown, 9.8 for a daytime high today. We'll round that up to 10, but technically it does not count as a double-digit day, which means the streak ends at 7 consecutive double-digit days, which is the most, second most in the 2000s, the most since 2005 when we had 9 straight. Had we gotten to 10.0 or 10.1 today, we could have tied that record because tomorrow looks like it'll be 10 degrees. You see the cloud cover kind of arching up to the north, so there's your clear skies that'll allow most of the island to see the northern lights tonight. That's the upper ridge, that warmer air aloft that's trapping this moisture at the surface, and especially in and around Port Alberni has created, at times, some near-zero visibility. This upper ridge is going to stick with us, it looks like, through the day tomorrow, and then finally starts to weaken as we head through towards the middle to the end of this week. And so we'll see some slightly cooler air drop in the mid and upper levels. I know you were just seeing oranges on that map for whatever reason. We're in between runs, I guess, on the models, and so it didn't move for you. There's your morning fog patches in the north. Those should burn off by mid-morning. 8 for a daytime high tomorrow, 5 and 6 for Wednesday, Thursday, and then chance of showers towards the end of the week with some steadier rain potentially on Saturday. 7s for inland areas. Not everybody is going to be stuck in thick, soupy fog, but especially around Port Alberni tomorrow morning and into the early afternoon, it will be fairly foggy once again. Temperature staying above average, though, by 2 or 3 degrees for the rest of this week. 11 degrees and mainly sunny skies out on the west coast tomorrow. 9 and sunshine Wednesday, and then a little closer to average, somewhere in that 8-degree range for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with some rain rolling in by the weekend. Morning fog patches in Comox. In fact, right into the afternoon, for areas right along the water, you're going to see that fog stick around. As you get further from the water, you'll see mainly sunny skies. That'll be the case again on Wednesday. Highs of 8 for the next 2 days. Same goes for Nanaimo. Morning fog. Again, closer to the water, that fog will last a little bit longer. Sunshine otherwise, and highs of about 8 degrees. We'll get to 0 tomorrow morning, and then 10 tomorrow afternoon on mainly sunny skies after some morning fog patches. 9 and mainly sunny on Wednesday, and then a little extra cloud cover towards the end of the week. A little bit of a cool down as well, and maybe some showers by Saturday. CTV Weather's brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So more fog for inland areas, Nafisa, and look up later tonight.
All right, we will. Thanks. Well, Mark Carney and Donald Trump will likely run into each other at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland this week, as the U.S. president, according to NBC News, ratchets up his criticism of Canada behind the scenes. He's said to be fixated on this country's inability to defend the Arctic, the same argument he's using for acquiring Greenland. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver is in Davos, the third stop on the PM's trip to shore up global trade ties and move away from depending on the Americans.
The Prime Minister is one of a record 400 top political leaders in Davos for the World Economic Forum. But it's one leader who's not even there yet, Donald Trump, who is dominating the conversation and raising the tension. Prime Minister Mark Carney will kickstart his time at the World Economic Forum with a fireside chat tomorrow and a speech later in the day all about what he calls the New World Order and Canada's approach. Expect him to talk about trade and the importance of diversifying Canada's trading partner, a message he has been spreading throughout this trip. But while trade and the economy may be topics the leaders here want to talk about, geopolitics and Trump's latest tariff threats are quickly taking over. A number of the 8 EU leaders facing Trump tariffs over Greenland will be at the World Economic Forum, including French President Emmanuel Macron tomorrow, who Carney will be meeting with. Right now, there is no indication that Carney and Trump will be meeting, but the two will be in Davos at the same time. The Prime Minister has said if he runs into Trump, he will raise his concerns about Greenland and the fact that Canada stands with Denmark and Greenland. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Corton, Switzerland.
Inflation in Canada ticked up slightly last month to 2.4% compared to December 2024. It's when Ottawa implemented a GST break, which helped bring prices down. But for Canadians struggling to make ends meet, expenses are still headed in the wrong direction. Here's CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin on the struggle at the grocery store.
In these cookies, there's a secret ingredient.
You have a passion for coffee?
I'm obsessed, a little bit. Stephanie Presta started a home business, Montreal Latte Heart, combining that shot of caffeine with another passion, baking.
So I infuse my cookies with my coffee, and the coffee makes the flavors really come out of the cookies.
But that is now a recipe for higher costs. The latest Statistics Canada inflation numbers show coffee went up 30% annually, and that sweets were also pricier.
Weather variability and lower yields just means that there's less coffee beans being produced and there's more global demand. That's driving the prices up.
A similar story has unfolded for beef prices. They're up 16%. The cattle stock in Canada is low, boosting prices. Coffee and beef are the main staples that saw a 5% hike annually for grocery items. But overall, many economists see some positive signs for food inflation in the report.
If you take out beef and some of the secondary effects on proteins, take out coffee, take out a couple of other things that have had extreme weather issues, the news is relatively optimistic for food prices going forward.
For Presta, relief from rising prices could mean investing in her passions is worth all the hard work.
There were moments this Christmas where I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
And with the cost of dining out going up too, it's hard to find a treat at a sweet price. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Coming up, dog walk song. Adam finds out why a woman walking her dog says her pup is more than just her best friend. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Finally, Adam meets a woman and her dog making the most of their walks together on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Paw? Thank you.
Ruth with the paws.
Good girl.
And Delilah with the treats.
Good girl.
Or more than just pup and person.
She's my best friend. I love her.
Ruth is also the sort of friend who, no matter the weather, no matter the mood,
Sometimes I'm tired and I just don't really feel like doing it.
encourages Delilah to get out and pursue her passion.
I feel like within like the first 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, this is my favorite thing. So I like doing it.
Because although this begins like any ordinary dog walk,
I need to give her a little attention before I can lock in with the singing.
it evolves into an extraordinary vocal workout. While Delilah Fabiola is a singer who's working on her own album after recording vocals for her friends, Ruth plays multiple roles.
She just inspires me to be the best version of myself.
Now she's a canine coach, walking up to 3 hours a day to push her person to keep improving her performance.
Every day.
Every day?
Every single day, yeah.
Ruth can also be a cheerleader, wagging her tail when Delilah hits all the right notes.
I've played songs that I've made, and I've seen her kind of look at like the speaker and look at me, and it's cute.
On the other hand, whenever life feels out of tune, Ruth is a consistent and cuddly confidant.
I love her. She's my baby.
While other creative collaborators, from Lennon and McCartney to Sonny and Cher, may be better known, you can bet that Delilah Fabiola and Ruth will never stop making meaningful music together.
Because she's the greatest love of my life, I think.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by Coastal Community Credit Union. Bank happy at Coastal Community Credit Union.
Great story to start the week off. That is it for CTV News Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night. Today on CTV News.
We can't bring him back. There's nothing we can do in that regard, but even if these people lose their jobs, then that's something.
A public hearing finally gets underway a decade after a violent altercation with a group of Vancouver police officers left a man dead. Also tonight.
I think this happens almost on a daily basis, not just BC, all across Canada.
They look like the real thing, but they're replicas. The challenge for police officers and ordinary people when it's almost impossible to spot the difference.
At times we would see the whale very quickly move. We might see, the fins on the backside of that stellar come up.
On the hunt, the power of orcas on full display as they pursue their prey and put on a spectacular show.
This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. A public hearing into the beating death of Miles Gray at the hands of 7 Vancouver police officers began downtown today. Gray's mother was the first witness to take the stand and spoke at length about the frantic hours culminating with police telling her Miles was dead. CTV's Ben Milger was at the hearing and joins us with more. So, Ben, take us through her testimony.
Nafisa, Margie Gray told the hearing she was concerned for her son, who was diagnosed as bipolar because he had left his work truck and walked away from a customer's business, which she said was very unusual behavior. She called the RCMP to report her son missing, and it was shortly after that she learned he had died in a violent confrontation with Vancouver police. Under cross-examination, a lawyer for one of the officers involved pressed her on Miles Gray's alleged drug use. She acknowledged he had been using marijuana and responded she did not know when asked if he had been using steroids. A toxicology report showed Gray had used marijuana at some point within the prior month. There were no steroids in his system. Gray's sister also attended the first day of the hearing.
I just want to honor him every day. And I just want to be here to show my support to my brother. We can't bring him back. There's nothing we can do in that regard, but even if these people lose their jobs, then that's something. At this point, that's the minimum that can happen, so that's what we would like to see happen.
After an investigation, BC's police watchdog referred a file to Crown for consideration of charges of manslaughter and assault against the officers, but the BC Prosecution Service chose not to pursue those charges. A Police Act investigation cleared the officers of wrongdoing, but the Police Complaint Commissioner ordered the public hearing because there remains uncertainty over what happened to Gray due to discrepancies and inaccuracies in the officers' statements, he said. An autopsy showed Gray suffered a broken jaw, nose, and orbital bone, a crushed larynx, and ruptured testicles. 5 of the 7 officers involved attended the hearing in person today. 2 others were absent for medical reasons, but had lawyers in the room. It's not yet clear if any of the officers plan to testify during the 10-week hearing. Nafisa?
Ben, thank you. Now to the latest on the extortion crisis in Surrey. 2 more shootings have been reported over the past few days, including one at a business this morning. And on Saturday, another home was targeted. But as CTV's Ben Nesbitt reports, this time police believe the victims may have tried to take matters into their own hands.
The people living in this Surrey home had a frightening awakening early Saturday morning, as police say gunshots were fired at the property. But unlike previous extortion victims, investigators believe somebody inside tried to meet force with force, allegedly firing shots of their own back outside.
The police do not condone or encourage vigilantism.
It happened in the 8600 block of Galway Crescent. Nobody was hurt. Police are urging other potential victims to not take matters into their own hands.
That puts all of us at risk. There is the very real potential that you may injure or kill your neighbor. And I ask you if you want that on your head. I don't think you do.
On Monday morning, officers were called just after 8 o'clock to a report of shots fired at a business in the 19300 block of Langley Bypass. Police say the shooting happened overnight, and attending officers confirm the building was hit by bullets. The business was closed at the time, and no injuries have been reported. Surrey police say there have now been 34 reported extortion attempts so far this month.
We need continued community pressure on people who are behind this. The last thing we want is for victims or for potential victims to become numb to this. We still need them to call us and contact us.
Police are hoping that somebody must have seen something or at least has dash cam footage. If you do, you're asked to contact SPS. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Surrey.
A staggering 18 demonstrations took place in downtown Vancouver over the weekend as people mobilized over international issues. The biggest gathering by far was yesterday's rally in support of Iranian protesters engaged in anti-government demonstrations in Tehran and other cities. Vancouver police estimate 17,000 people took place in the various rallies this weekend.
We are seeing again and again developments around the world that have real implications for Canada, for Canadians, for British Columbians.
Of course, the U.S. has the biggest impact with its foreign policy, whether it's directed at Canada or not. A school on the Blueberry River First Nation, about 80 kilometers northwest of the city of Fort St. John, has been destroyed in a fire. RCMP say officers were called around 6:30 a.m. Saturday. Crews found the Blueberry Community School fully engulfed. No injuries were reported. In a statement, the First Nations Council called the fire a tremendous loss and said the building had served not only as a school, but as a hub for the community. The cause of the blaze remains under investigation. Now to the latest on the BC housing crisis. 2 years after CTV News broke the story about a dangerous living situation for an international student in Vancouver whose rental unit was being subdivided with a cardboard wall, tenants say the same thing is happening at the building again. Residents say dozens of apartments in this building, owned by a company called Capri at Ocean Park Place, are being converted into short-term rentals subdivided with partitions. They say they're concerned for their safety and that long-term tenants are moving out due to theft. City Councillor Pete Fry is tabling a motion Wednesday to strengthen the city's enforcement tools.
The laundry room's always messed up. The elevator's always messed up. The fire alarm's always going off. And it just really sucks because all of my good neighbors, the long-term tenants, are leaving.
We're seeing commercial landlords who are dodging the rules around short-term rentals and putting up residential units on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, but also other more fringy ones. And what we struggle with as a city is to catch them.
Capri says leases have a minimum term of 31 days and are therefore not short-term tourist rentals. Adding Harrington Housing is required to comply with all municipal bylaws, including permits, but the city says it hasn't issued any permits or received any applications to subdivide units at Ocean Park Place. After the break, can you tell the difference?
Whether you're holding a replica or a BB gun, it does not matter to a police officer. We're going to treat it as a real firearm.
The problem with replica guns that leads to real and sometimes deadly consequences. How the province is dealing with the growing problem. A provincial agency that tackles organized crime in this province says police are dealing with replica guns on a daily basis. The province is working on regulating how these imitation firearms are transported and stored. But as CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, some business owners don't agree with tighter rules.
In 2020, RCMP stormed a Campbell River townhouse after a neighbor called police, saying they saw a weapon. What triggered the response? A BB gun.
I think this happens almost on a daily basis with all across, not just BC, all across Canada.
Imitation firearms, including airsoft, BB, and pellet guns, are easy to access, sold at stores such as Canadian Tire. They're used by hunters, hobbyists, young people, and gangs. Their prevalence complicating how officers respond.
Whether you're holding a replica or a BB gun, it does not matter to a police officer. We're going to treat it as a real firearm.
But despite looking like the real thing, provincial laws to store and transport these guns have yet to be enacted, and that can have tragic consequences. In 2025, neurodivergent teenager Chase de Ballenhard was shot by Surrey RCMP while holding a pellet gun.
That pellet gun was up in my office. It was locked. I unfortunately had unlocked that drawer to get something else out.
In 2021, BC introduced the Firearm Violence Prevention Act to close some federal gaps, such as prohibiting imitation guns in schools and hospitals.
Any government, when they are making restrictions about anything, what they're always going to be mindful of is our Constitution and the Charter and Rights of Freedoms. And what that means is that they are always primed for lawsuits and people filing constitutional challenges against laws.
This is our most expensive rifle.
In Richmond at Trigger Airsoft, employees provide education around transporting guns.
You have to have an actual like a gun bag or gun case to carry your rifles.
Owner Ken Cow says he doesn't think provincial regulation is necessary.
I think common sense is the best regulation.
5 years later, the province says the act still needs to be brought into force by regulation. As for when that may happen, it adds it's unable to provide a date. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Vancouver first responders are sounding the alarm over a decline in blood donations over the winter.
Winter can be a challenging time for blood collections in Canada. We have across the country icy roads, cold weather, seasonal illnesses. So it's a really important time to step up.
First responders rolled up their sleeves today as part of the Sirens for Life campaign to further encourage donors. Anyone who donates blood or plasma or joins the stem cell registry this winter can enter for a chance to win round-trip tickets for 2 to any Air Canada destination. Well, it's another hazy day across Metro Vancouver with dense fog limiting visibility. A yellow advisory for fog is in place across the region, which is expected to last until tomorrow. Environment Canada says while the fog clears up in the afternoon, it will likely develop again overnight. They're warning drivers to be prepared for near zero visibility in some areas. Well, she's serving up stunning sunshine or a whole lot of fog, depending on where you are. Caroline's forecast is on deck. Plus, caught on camera, a rare and dramatic encounter with transient killer whales in local waters. The incredible video still ahead.
Time now for tonight's Skywatch. Foggy skies above the Fraser River with the Portman Bridge off in the distance.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
The last bit of daylight is seen from above the fog line. This is Grouse Mountain, and this is our tower cam. Very dramatic, very romantic, a little mysterious too. And I'm not just talking about Caroline.
Oh, thank you. Oh, me? No, it was a pretty interesting day, wasn't it? You look one way and it was sunny, another way it was cloudy, and another way you couldn't see because of all the fog. Guess what's going to happen tomorrow? more of the same. Yep, we've got a whole lot to talk about here. The yellow advisory is still in effect now through tomorrow afternoon for the areas listed there. Also, just for added measure, a special air quality statement is in place for the Cariboo region, Quesnel, and Prince George. So if you're out and about, do take care on the roads. Visibility will be limited. What is happening for the next 24 hours? Well, guess what? More fog. As for tomorrow, we'll see another foggy morning. And today, again, is going to be kind of a carbon copy of today. A little bit of sun, a little bit of fog, but no precipitation. All right, let's take a look at the forecast, shall we? Beginning in the southern interior, varying degrees of sun and cloud there. Kamloops will see a high of 1 degree. As for the central part of the province, Prince George, Quesnel, Williams Lake, we'll see temperatures between -3 and -6 degrees. Now let's head to the north now, shall we? Beginning with Terrace. We'll see a high of 1 degree. Massett, high of 7. Fort Nelson, pretty chilly, -5 degrees, under a mix of sun and cloud. As for the North Island tomorrow, varying degrees of sun and cloud. Port Hardy, more cloud than sun. Campbell River, Comox, mainly sunny skies and a high of 8 degrees. As for the South Island, Port Alberni, yes, under that fog advisory, it will clear as the day goes on, but you will see some fog patches throughout the day. High of 10 in Victoria. Let's head over to the Sunshine Coast now. High of 7 degrees. You will see the sun tomorrow. Squamish, high of 10. Whistler, 4 degrees, under a mix of sun and cloud. As for the lower mainland, yes, foggy skies in the morning and possibly some fog patches in the afternoon. Think about what we had today, more the same tomorrow. Abbotsford, Chilliwack, though, mix of sun and cloud, highs between 9 and 10 degrees. As for the 5-day, we are going to see a high of 9 degrees tomorrow. Again, some fog, some sun, a little mixed bag, and varying degrees of sun and cloud for the rest of the week. So that's it, Nafisa. You like the fog? You're going to love tomorrow.
I do like the fog. It is very spooky and a little romantic.
Oh, I like that. Well, I'm happy to deliver the news.
Thanks, Caroline. Well, the Orca Behavior Institute is sharing some incredible video it captured showing just how brutal nature can be, and it isn't for the faint of heart. The video captured whales from the Biggs transient killer whale population hunting a stellar sea lion near Victoria. Now, sea lions have sharp teeth and claws and can weigh up to 1,100 kilograms. The group of orcas worked in tandem, ramming the sea lion and creating a lot of action on the surface of the water, putting on quite a show for those lucky enough to witness the hunt.
At times, we would see the whale very quickly move. We might see, the fins on the backside of that stellar come up, or there was definite contact while we were out there too. And as the hunt progressed, we started seeing that stellar sea lion at the surface less and less. So I think it got very tired, probably suffered some internal injuries, and then eventually succumbed to that predation event.
Transient orcas have to consume roughly 200 kilograms of food per day and have diversified their diets, feeding on seals, salmon, porpoises, as well as smaller whales. On the other hand, resident killer whale population continues to struggle due to its single declining food source, Chinook salmon. Well, it's Monday, which means we're cooking up something delicious. Our foodie forecast is next. Plus, we've got another whale of a tale for you.
He's completely oblivious.
Well, he's just trying to catch some rays, but instead, this sunbather found himself surrounded by some curious orcas. That story is coming up in Take a Look at This. We'll be right back. It's time to dig into the foodie forecast, our weekly segment on restaurants that are opening soon or closing their doors. Paragon Tea Room has returned to Canby Village with the opening of their newest location right next to the Park Theatre. Tea lovers can sip on all their favorites, from classic matcha to mango hojicha mistos. You can also buy bags of tea to make at home, along with essential accessories like bamboo whisks. Looks like Vancouver can't get enough of Chipotle. The chain opened its newest location on Davie Street last week, marking its 19th restaurant in the region. Fans can expect all their Mexican favorites, including signature customizable burritos, tacos, and bowls. After nearly 20 years, Italian restaurant Buca di Roma in Vancouver's Arbutus Ridge neighborhood has announced they're closing their doors. From antipasti to pasta, they have prided themselves on their authentic Roman cuisine with a wine list to match. They will be serving their last guests on January 25th and are inviting the community to share one last meal. The Vancouver Canucks rebuilding process has taken another step, trading away forward Kiefer Sherwood. The Canucks have shipped Sherwood to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for defenseman Cole Clayton and 2 second-round draft picks. The 30-year-old American put up a team-high 17 goals with the Canucks this season and 63 points in 122 career games with Vancouver. The Canucks are currently on a 10-game losing streak and sit dead last in the NHL. Meanwhile, the team is hoping to get back in the win column tonight against former captain Bo Horvat and the New York Islanders. The Canucks dropped the first game of their 8-game homestand 6-0 against the Oilers Saturday. Still searching for the first win of 2026. Puck drop at Rogers Arena is at 7 p.m. Now with a preview of CTV News at 6, Mi-Jung Lee.
Nafisa, public hearing into the police beating death of Miles Gray got underway today. Gray's mother took the stand more than 10 years after her 33-year-old son died in a violent encounter with police. Will the 7 officers involved take the stand? And police are on the hunt for these 2 suspected male thieves. Surveillance video shows them entering a Port Moody building and then leaving with packages. And West End residents have reached out to CTV to show what a property owner is doing to squeeze more people into units. And it's not the first time. I'll be back at 6. Nafisa?
Thanks, Mi-Jung. Well, a sunbather has a whale of a tale to tell after a surreal close encounter with a pair of curious orcas. Plus, a library book is returned nearly half a century overdue. Here's CNN's Jeremy Roth with Take a Look at This.
Take a look at a surreal close encounter between a sunbather and a pair of curious orcas.
He's completely oblivious.
Eyewitnesses in New Zealand's Wellington Harbour spotted the whales first and captured video as they circled the platform where the man was catching some rays. Moments later, he finally figures out he has some guests.
He's just very nice. He's just very nice.
The man later told local media he wasn't panicked, but instead awestruck by the encounter. He also shared on Facebook that he quickly swam to shore because he, quote, did not want to be whale dinner. And from a whale of a tale to the white whale of Ferraris, exotic sports car enthusiasts gathered in Florida to glimpse this legendary Le Mans-winning 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. Named Bianco Especiale, it is the only Ferrari 250 ever painted in white from the factory. That's according to Beacom Auctions, which hosted bidding for this fabled Ferrari that ended up selling for an incredible $38.5 million. Finally, employees at a SoCal library likely turned white as a ghost when somebody finally returned a book that was nearly 46 years overdue. The copy of The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford was stamped with an original due date of May 20th, 1980, and included a note of apology for its tardiness. Luckily for the user, the County of San Diego says the library no longer charges overdue fines and shared the story saying better late than never, even if it's nearly 5 decades later. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, we love a critter story here on CTV News at 5, and we've got an important critter milestone. The Toronto Zoo is celebrating an important birthday for one of its western lowland silverback gorillas, big critter. Zwolani celebrated his 26th birthday with some treats. Staff say he is clever, gentle, calm, and patient, adding there might even be some romance in the air as he seems to be hitting it off with one of his female companions.
Oh,
you do use Zwolani.
That has to be the next story. I'm emotionally invested in the gorilla romance.
There could be a mini-series. I'd watch it.
I'm in. Let's go. And you know what else you want to watch? How's that for a segue? Your scenic snapshot.
Oh, wow.
Nafisa, you like fog?
I do like the fog.
You got fog. Yes, if you want your photo featured, email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca. Thanks, Ken, for sending this in.
What is snap? Would you take that on the Patella Bridge? It must be.
That's way above my pay grade. It's pretty.
Well, Mi-Jung will be back for CTV News at 6. Right now, here's Sandy Ronaldo with CTV National News. Good night.